Are you all out of ideas for new builds to add to your Minecraft world? Well, as it turns out, I have over 30 build ideas just for you in this video. Also, I just wanted to quickly apologize if I sound weird during this video. Unfortunately, I caught that virus that everyone's been talking about. But don't worry, I wore a mask while recording this episode, so you don't get sick too. Alright, without wasting any more time, let's get into the first build. Alright, starting off, we're taking a look at this very weird looking build here. This one is actually one that I've never posted before, as I thought it was too weird, but I thought it'd be cool to just showcase it in this video. So, as you can see, we have like a sort of nuclear lake, and we have like the runoff pipe here where the nuclear waste is pouring out into this pond, and we've also added mycelium and stuff to the surrounding area and like these weird dead trees and stuff as well. And you might be wondering how I actually achieved this look, and it's pretty simple. All it is just a bunch of layers of different colored stained glass. So we've gone from yellow to green to lime, and then back to yellow, green, and lime, and then it's just a repeat of that pretty much. And then we have glowstone at the bottom to illuminate the entire thing. Next up, we have this cute little build, which is called the Mine Railway. And so all this consists of is a couple of minecart tracks. So we've got one that's turning off to the left here into this cave. We have one that keeps going like theoretically over to like your base or somewhere as well. And then up above, we also have another minecart track that's suspended on these support pillars and like just kind of suspended between the beams as well. We've added some nice decorations around the place, like some andesite texture, some ores and stuff around the place, some barrels, and then just of course a bunch of minecarts, some lamp post designs, and some fallen logs as well on the ground. Next up, we have this massive circular farm design with this big custom tree in the center. And yeah, if you're just wanting like a really nice aesthetic way to make a crop farm in your survival world or anything like that, maybe even for like a village or like town center, this is definitely a really cool build for that. And as you can see, we've also alternated between crops to give it a nicer look. Next, we have some staircase designs, with the first one here being the natural one. So we have a pathway here that splits off into a fork, and it goes up around this area and then like just back down. I mean, theoretically, you would kind of continue on with this area up here, like over this way. And yeah, it's just definitely a really nice way to add a bit of variety and interest to your pathway or something like that. And then yeah, in between all of this, we've also added in a bit of a waterfall here. We've decorated it by using a whole bunch of stones around the place. And then this all comes down to a pond with some lily pads and just some other various decorations as well. For the next staircase design, we once again have the exact same shape. I'm just going to say all of them have this same kind of shape. But yeah, so for this one, we have like a medieval themed one. And in the center this time, we have like a bit of a sewer or something like that, like a storm drain. And then this runs down into a like further like underground section, I guess, where the water would continue going. We've also added a nice little garden to this one in the central area here. And then as we come up here to the top of the staircase, we have this massive wacky lamppost design. So we have our lanterns, and then we have some hanging plants as well. For the third staircase, we have the desert themed one. So for this one, we've added in a bit more of like an Egyptian theme kind of thing. So we've got this like flaming torch thing. Then down here, we have some water that kind of leads down into this mini oasis with a bit of a custom palm tree here as well. And now for the final one, we have a nether themed one. So this time we have some nether brick and also blackstone blocks for our pathway. In the center, we have a bit of like a furnace design, and we have like the smoking section that comes up here. Down in front in the center here, we have this nether themed garden with all these like warped blocks. And yeah, definitely a really cool nether themed staircase. Next up, we're taking a look at my mining outpost build. So if you don't feel like just creating a boring plain old mine entrance like this one in here, you can of course just encase it in some walls and some towers. And yeah, so at the front here, we have two smaller towers, and then at the back, we have this bigger tower that allows us to hold in like a bunch of storage blocks and stuff like that. And then of course, we have our entrance over here. You could add in some fence gates if you want this to be a little bit more secure. Then as we head on to the inside here, as you can see, we've added a whole bunch of decorations like some barrels and chests around the place, and also this minecart station here that we can use to send our minecarts down into the mine entrance down below. Next up, we have this medieval farm build. So as you can see, this build is a little bit old. This house looks kind of whack in my opinion. I might actually upgrade this for a future video. But yeah, so for this one, we just have a massive wheat field off to the left here. It's got some nice elevation to it as well. We've also surrounded it with a whole bunch of stone blocks and some lanterns as well, of course, to keep it nice and bright. It's not very mob proof, so this could probably be elevated a little bit higher to just keep the mobs out. And then as for the house over here on the left, we have a nice little undercover area with a whole bunch of hay bales. As we head on inside, as you can see, I never finished it. And yeah, I definitely need to upgrade this one because the idea is really cool. Just before we continue on to the next build, this video is sponsored by Scalar Cube Hosting. Are you looking for a cheap and easy way to play Minecraft or any of these other games with your friends? Or maybe you're wanting to create a public server for other players to join? Well, you're in luck, because in only a couple of minutes, you can quickly and easily set up a 24/7 server. They have extremely reliable servers with 99.9% uptime, complete DDoS protection, and it's all run on powerful hardware to keep your server running smoothly. They also have some other features like unlimited player slots, 24/7 customer service for if you need help with anything, easy setup for any mods and plugins you want to use, and a whole bunch of locations worldwide. If you want to get started with your own server today, I have a link down in the description that can get you 50% off your first month of any hosting plan. Alright, back to the video. Next up, we have the Under Mountain base, and as you can see, this build is actually pretty old. This is the 27th build I've ever created, actually, and so it is a little bit weird looking, but the idea is pretty cool though. And so yeah, so we've basically carved out the edge of this cliff here and replaced it with these nice support pillars in our glass panes here, and that has of course just like kind of become the base here. So we have a pathway that leads in. It's definitely a very strange looking pathway, don't worry about that. And yeah, on the interior, once again, we have a very weird looking interior. I'm not sure what I was smoking back then, but it probably wasn't very good. I mean, I don't smoke anything now, but yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, we have this weird like staggered chests design thing, and then we have our crafting blocks over here with a couple of barrels, and then we have our furnaces over here. I mean, there isn't even a bed in this base, man. What was I thinking, dude? Next up, we have this nice little Zen garden. So as you can see, for this, we have a bit of a Torii gate over here. Then we have this like weird fire thing. I'm not exactly sure what this is meant to be. And then over here, we also have a bit of a well design too. Then heading back over this way, we have a nice little bridge that covers this smoking river. And we've just done this by adding in some campfires underneath the water here. And yeah, so heading over to the opposite side of the river, we have our sand portion of the Zen garden. And on this, we've added some rocks and stuff around the place. We've added some little buttons as stones, and then also some bamboo and some little plants around the place as well. Next up, we're taking a quick look at a couple of builds from my previous hardcore series that I unfortunately died on. So firstly, on the outside of the actual area, we have this little dock build here. I'm not sure how this guy got out. I mean, the whole thing's walled off, so yeah, just excuse this little guy right here. But yeah, so this is like the arrival dock. As you can see, we've got two different sections here where you can park your boat up at. We've got like a check-in or like a store kind of building over here, and then theoretically, there'd be a pathway here that would lead up to the gate. I never actually built the pathway. And yeah, so as we head on inside, off to the left here, we have our nice little blacksmith building with a couple of guys out here. I really like the exterior aesthetic of this build. We've got like a nice little furnace thing with a chimney that goes up through the roof. Over here's the archery range building, and then throughout the rest of the village, we have like a whole bunch of just general housing buildings. So we've got this like little small one, we've got this double-story one, which is pretty much exactly the same as the archery range. And then we also have this boarding house style one as well, with a whole bunch of separated rooms on the inside with heaps of beds. Then over here we have the kind of town center where we've got like a nice little park. We've got some crops growing on the sides and also a little pond in the center. Up here we have our fully automatic sugarcane farm that I made to be nice and aesthetically pleasing. It's kind of all built into this nice like casing of like a house design, I guess. I haven't actually checked this in a while. Oh yeah, it's going pretty good. Over here we have our animal barn. I mean, it's just a pretty bog standard animal barn. There's nothing too special going on in here. We have a mine entrance up here. Please excuse this big like weird fence thing. It's the only way I could think of to actually like encase the villagers in here. But yeah, I actually lived inside of this as well. This was my starter base, and then I turned it into the mine entrance of the town. Over this way we have my massive mob grinder. We can head on inside, and I might actually have to give myself some night vision. Yeah, so as you can see, the mobs will spawn on these platforms. All the trapdoors everywhere are to stop the spiders from spawning and clogging up the spawner. Just thought I'd let you know. And yes, they all eventually walk off the sides thanks to these open trapdoors here, and they fall down into the chute where they can be slain for their XP and their precious resources. Next up, we have this little custom bridge here that I built to cross this mini ravine thing. Instead of just having to go around, I thought it was just like a nice build to add in, and I think it turned out pretty well. And yes, on the left side here, we have the more realistic portion of the town, and then the right side here is kind of like the farm section. I never actually finished it, unfortunately, because I did die in the nether. What the hell's going on over here, man? Why are you on the roof, buddy? But yeah, so over here we have a fully automatic pig farm that I can use to get some nice cooked pork chops. Over here we have my super smelter that I built in the last episode that I unfortunately never actually got to use. But yeah, this build's pretty cool. You can see me build this in the episode 11 or in the hardcore movie if you want to watch that as well. Over here is just a nice library design. We've got a bamboo farm and also my personal base over here as well, which I really enjoyed using. And then pretty much for the final build that I created, we have this massive iron farm. And if you hadn't noticed already, I love making my farm builds aesthetically pleasing instead of just having some like weird floating stuff in the sky or just like an exposed like sugarcane farm. I like to make it into a build that looks aesthetically pleasing. So as you can see, I made this into like kind of like a couple of towers. We have all of our villagers on the inside here and the zombie as well. And then that allows the iron golems to spawn into this water and send them down into the central tower where their iron is then harvested for me. And yeah, so that pretty much covers everything in the hardcore series. Once again, if you want to watch this, feel free to watch every individual episode or you can watch the movie as well. Next, we're taking a quick look at a couple of different pathway designs, with the first one here being a medieval dirt themed one. So all of these are pretty similar. They just have a different kind of texture and theme to to them. And yeah, so for this one, we of course just have dirt path, coarse dirt, and grass around the place. We've got this nice little chair design. We've also added in these broken fences that kind of line the pathway, and also these little bushes as well. Now for the next one, we have another medieval one, but this time it's more of like a stone or established one. So the texture for this pathway is pretty crazy. We've got a massive variety of blocks. So we've got cobblestone, stone bricks. We've even got a blast furnace in here. We've also added in some like little sections with water in them, some pressure plates and stone buttons as well. And yeah, definitely a pretty crazy textured pathway. For the next one, we have a granite themed one. So this time we've used some granite, polished granite, and also some bricks. We've added some pot plants on the ground. I actually really like the way this looks. It's a really nice like kind of look. I don't know how else to explain it, but yeah, it looks pretty cool. And yeah, definitely just a really unique looking pathway if you're looking for something that's completely different from the other ones. And now for the final pathway, we once again have a pretty unique one. This one's instead using quartz and diorite blocks. We've also got some diorite walls with some lanterns on all of those around the place here, and a nice quartz bench as well. Next up, we have this floating island build. And so if you're just wanting a really unique looking base to live in, this is definitely a really cool option. It's not the most practical or efficient, but it definitely looks cool. And so this is still usable by adding in a nice little waterfall here that just drops off down onto the ground below. There we go. There's the actual ground. And yeah, you could drop this down into like a pond or something and just use this to get all the way up to your base. It would definitely take a while to swim up this, so you could add in like a soul sand block or whatever one that it is that like pushes you up. And yeah, so as we come up to the actual island, we have a nice little crop farm on the side here where our water is actually like kind of starting from. And then of course we have our house here. It is pretty small, so you can of course just make this a lot bigger and add in a bit of a bigger island. I haven't really added much in here except for just some decorations at the top here with some bookshelves and some chests and barrels. Next up, we have this simple house design, and this is definitely a really nice and elegant looking house. I just love the way this looks. It might be pretty small, but you can just use this as like a starter base. And yeah, so we have this nice two-tiered roof design, and then we also have this nice sticking out part where our door is, and we can of course just head on inside. And down at the bottom here, we have this nice aesthetic kitchen design. We've got some barrels that line along the tops here for some storage. We've got our furnaces, crafting table, and then as we head upstairs, up here we have this nice little area. What the hell? I'm not sure why there's a gaping hole in it here. But yeah, we have this nice aesthetic area with a bit of a house plant. We've got our lectern here with a book in it with a window as well. And then off to the right here, we have our bedroom with a little bit of personal storage, another bookshelf, and yeah, just some more details as well. Next, we have this aesthetic pond design. So if you're just wanting to add a little bit of interest or like a nice kind of feature to your village or your area or anything like that, this is definitely a nice build for that. So we've of course just added in a bit of a pond here. We've decorated it by using some walls and a lantern that kind of looks like it's like floating on the surface of the water. We've added a bunch of lily pads, sea pickles, sea grass, and then on the outside here we have of course some sugar canes, some tall grass, and some buttons for little stones. We've also got a nice little pathway here that leads over to this bench and a bit of a dock here, and then we also have this nice lamppost too. Next up, we're taking a look at 4 different levels of a compact interior design, with level 1 here just being the most simple of course. So all we've got is just a couple of furnaces, a couple of chests, and a crafting table with a cute little torch on top of that. For level 2, we've added a little bit of extra detail, like this nice case that surrounds the chests. We've also added in another crafting block here, the smithing table. We've added in a bit of a carpet design. We've given the torch its own little table here, and also added in a nice little pot plant design. Now for level 3, we've of course ramped up the details quite a bit more. So we have a bit more of a cohesive design. We're using the verticality of the space a little bit better as well. We've added in even more crafting blocks and also a brewing stand as well. And now for the final level, level 4, we've of course increased the detail once again. So this time we've got a whole bunch of crafting blocks. We've of course got our brewing stand here. We've got barrels along the top here that are kind of like alternating between facing out and down. I actually don't really know if I like the look of this anymore. I'd probably just have them all facing out. And yeah, so we've also added a shelf to all of these chests as well. So they're actually like kind of being held up on the middle shelf here. We've added in a bunch of lanterns to keep it nice and bright. And yeah. Next up, we're taking a look at a couple of storage designs, with the first one here being a pretty big and open style one. So as you can see, we have a nice step up here, which leads to a carpet that kind of lines the pathway here. And then we've just got this repeated design in every single section here, with a whole bunch of double chests and some barrels on the left and right sides. We've also got this nice curved design in all of the corners, which gives it a really nice look in my opinion. Next up, we've got a bit of a smaller design here. So as you can see, for this one, we just have a whole bunch of barrels along the top here that are supported by this shelf. And then we have our chests down below here with some more barrels with some extra details on top of those. And then we just have the same thing off to the right here. For the next one, we have a bit more of an aesthetic design. designs. So as you can see, we have these nice like houseplant designs on the left and right sides. Then we once again have another shelf here that's supporting our chests with some more chests down below and some barrels below those. And then for the final build here, we have one that's similar to the first one, except we have barrels in the center instead of on the sides. And we've also added a couple of extra details like these nice little tables here that are holding these pot plants. We've got a nice little armor stand here as well, and yeah. Alright, and so that just about does it for all the builds that I wanted to showcase. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.